Ah, shit, that boy is at it again! Who's ready for another lame versus video? No one? Okay. Well, too bad, I'ma do it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and weeaboos, who's ready to rumble?
In this corner, the last of the air nomads, the Avatar himself, Aang! And in this corner, the Queen of Mary Sue's, the last of the Jedi, Rey!
Both the heirs of incredible abilities, great power, and today, I'll make them hurt each other. Let's begin! In a magical and spiritual realm, there are 4 nations of fire, water, earth, and air. To maintain peace between the 4 nations, the people rely on the Avatar, a powerful bender who can control all 4 elements. But just as the world was about to become engulfed in a massive war, the Avatar disappeared, and a desperate search began for the new Avatar. Born in an alternate Earth in 12 BG, Aang was raised in the Southern Air Temple by the airbending monk Gyatso and his fellow air nomads. After the passing of the former Avatar Roku, Aang was born as the new Avatar. However, displeased with his new responsibilities, Aang tried to escape to a life of freedom, only to be caught in a storm, then accidentally freeze himself for 100 years. Talk about a power nap. As the Avatar, Aang is the bridge between the spirit world and the physical world. Because of this, he has some pretty serious abilities. He can bend the 4 main elements of fire, water, earth, and his primary form, air. He can detect where a person is and what they're doing through vibrations in the ground by using seismic sense. He can redirect lightning, thus using it as a powerful agent in battle, can enhance his speed and agility, and is even a lethal combatant in hand-to-hand. Not only that, but he can bend the energies in the body as well, to heal or even remove their own bending abilities. And for an absolute power boost, he can access the Avatar state. In this form, his control over the 4 elements is absolute. Not only that, but he gains the collective knowledge and experience of all the former Avatars that came before him. However, though he's strongest in this state, he's also the most vulnerable. If an Avatar dies in the Avatar state, the cycle by which the reincarnated will end. This is easier said than done, however, as a superpowered world-bending monk is fairly difficult to kill, even without the ultimate form. For centuries, the Jedi Order were the guardians of peace in the universe, powerful wielders of the Force, an ever-present energy that flows through and from all things. However, the Jedi were manipulated and wiped out by their century-old enemy, the Sith. For years it was thought the Jedi were extinct, until a young warrior faced his fallen father and the evil Emperor, avenging the old order and restoring the Jedi. Or so it was thought. After Master Luke Skywalker disappeared, a new threat emerged in the galaxy. And with it, a new prodigy in the Force. Born 15 ABY as none other than the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine himself, Rey was abandoned on the desert world planet of Jakku by her parents to hide her from the Emperor's vile schemes. After teaming up with a renegade stormtrooper and a loose cannon pilot, Rey would discover her connection to the Force, find the long-lost Luke Skywalker, and begin her walk on the path of the Jedi. As a Jedi, Rey has access to the very will of the Force, which can enable her with a myriad of amazing powers. She can increase her speed, strength, agility, and sense to detect danger, see the future, communicate with Jedi, both alive and one with the Force. She can levitate anyone or anything from small rocks to large spaceships, pulling them toward her or sending them flying. She can generate force lightning of incredibly devastating strength, as well as influence the Force to heal fatal wounds. Through the Force, Rey also has incredible resilience. From being slammed into a tree to having the very life sucked out of her, nothing really seems to keep this girl down. Both Aang and Rey are capable warriors in their respective universes, but both also share the same weaknesses. Both suffer from insecurity and self-doubt, as well as fear their darker sides. Aang fears resorting to violence or even having to kill someone, and Rey, as a wielder of the Force, is constantly feeling the seduction from the dark side, and its habits of anger, wrath, and violence. However, both have the guidance of the masters that came before them, as well as became fully realized in their abilities over a very short period of time. But the question here isn't if they can hold their own in a fight. No, it's about if they can hold their own in a fight against each other. Now, when comparing two different worlds and the powers that operate within each, there are many things you need to consider. Like, for example, how the f*** do they work? In the Avatar franchise, the powers of bending are abilities gifted to humanity by ancient spirits to help them survive in a highly supernatural realm. However, after the actions of the first Avatar, the physical and spiritual worlds are divided. The Avatar is unique to other benders because they are the only one capable of mastering all four elements. In order to do this, there is a bond between the Avatar and the world's resident spirit of light and good. So spiritually, they have a conduit that allows them to command multiple facets of nature at once. This requires physical elements to it as well. In the human body, various, let's call them energies, flow. In Eastern medicine, these chakras build up in pools at various points in the body. In order to maintain balance within the elements, the Avatar must be balanced internally as well. So they need to train to manage, accept, and release said energies accordingly. The energies of the Avatar universe are like chi in ours, which means they can be blocked or at least staggered by the same things. Trauma, negative emotions, phobias, physical ailments, and the unwillingness to let go of things can hinder an Avatar to the point they lose aspects of their powers. In his battle with Fire Princess Azula, Aang's body receives severe trauma that cripples him emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Only through various time-consuming meditation sessions, gross soup, and falling on a pressure point accidentally is he able to reach his full power once again. Not only this, but because chakra has to be focused as it flows through the body, hitting various pressure points along the meridian pathways can block the energies, preventing any kind of bending at all. Although, once in the Avatar state, that doesn't seem to be much of an issue. And unlike Chi, the Force isn't blocked by hitting pressure points. Although Jedi have been known to lose their sensitivity due to substance abuse. However, in a one-on-one fight, I don't see that happening. In the Avatar universe, benders are tough. Even non-benders can take a licking and keep on ticking, although there are inconsistencies. But for the most part, people can take a hit or two before being counted out. There are limits though. At the end of Book 2, we see Aang take a bolt of lightning to the spine at close range. This is pretty damn important, as a lightning bolt can be as hot as 53,540 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 5 times hotter than our sun, and can strike hard enough to split molecules with a speed of 200,000 miles an hour. This seems to be the limit for how resilient a person can be in this world, as Aang was immediately incapacitated and only survived due to Katara's healing water technique. Even with these healing waters though, Aang was in a coma for at least 2 months. Now, people have survived being struck by lightning before. Even I almost had a go-to-Jesus meeting because one struck a little too close to me for comfort as a child. Now I can't touch freaking anything without getting shocked. However, the likelihood of a person walking away from this is almost zero on average. So good on Aang, you tough little bald bastard. In Star Wars, however, getting struck by Force lightning is almost like a rite of passage to these people. Everybody not only gets hit with it, but more often than not, they continue to be struck for long strands of time. Though Force lightning, or midnight fire, obviously doesn't always burn as hot as natural lightning, which is about 30,000 amps, or 1 billion volts by the way, it does burn at least 212 degrees. This is the temperature required to melt human skin, which is exactly what happens to the most shock-happy Emperor himself. It only takes about 42 volts to kill someone, so Force lightning probably rests somewhere around half that, which won't kill you outright, but prolonged exposure definitely will. And seeing as Force lightning specializes in extensive use, I'd say death is an inevitability. Though people in Star Wars still walk away from it, most of the time. Though fancy powers and ancient magics are neat and have their uses, they don't replace a solid weapon and disciplined skill. Although Aang relies almost entirely on his bending, relying on his tricks and attempts to avoid real confrontation, he's not bad at putting up his dukes and settling a problem the old-fashioned way. Each bending form is based on actual martial arts, so it stands to reason Aang can employ these skills in traditional methods. Waterbending is Tai Chi. Earthbending is based on Hungar Kung Fu. Firebending is Shaolin Kung Fu. And airbending is Bagwan's, or Bog... Jesus, how do you spell that? Bagwazong. Jeez. All are excellent and lethal hand-to-hand combat techniques that specialize in balance, diversion, and disabling your opponent. Aang's glider also appears to double as a battle staff from time to time, giving the young monk an advantage of range. Although it's funny, it's almost as though the glider would be useless against something, say, a lightsaber? Though the Jedi can use the Force to enhance their physical combat, to leap over entire fields of foes, and punch through solid metal, they rely primarily on swordplay. There are 7 forms in all: Shicho, Makashi, Shien, Nemad, Sorisu, Ataru, and Jio, each specializing in aggression, acrobatics, defense, or dismemberment. With something as simple as a stick, these forms are lethal, but when you add a weapon like a lightsaber, they become a nightmare. The lightsaber is both an electronic and spiritual weapon that emits a long, humming blade of pure, burning energy that can cut through damn near anything, apart from a few rare space metals. Rey, our most recent Mary Sue, favors the lightsaber form Shien. Now I'm sure you're all wondering, how could this legendary matchup end? And unfortunately, the answer is simple. With a bunch of butthurt fans! But, in all seriousness, if the two monks had to battle each other to an otherwise needless death, I'd have to give the edge to Rey. Now in these situations, the outcome varies heavily given location, immediate health of the combatants, and about a million other parameters, and I try viewing this on as equal grounds as possible. Also, just like with my earlier video, Kimba vs. Simba, I don't actually think these two individuals would ever fight each other. They're both from monk orders that value life and cherish coexistence. However, with that in mind, discussing that would bring this entire conversation to a pointless fault. But in the end, Rey would be a bit more willing to kill than Aang, as the Jedi are warriors by nature, whereas the air nomads do everything in their power to avoid any actual combat. Plus, Rey's powers are just far more practical and better suited to a drag-out fight. Though bending has the ability to literally change the battlefield, it depends on specific motions and a consistent flow of momentum to gain an advantage. The Force, on the other hand, can bring down entire ships, wipe out an entire battalion of soldiers, or simply crush your opponent just by willing it. Throwing massive rocks and whips of fire is cool and all, but it doesn't really have any weight when your opponent can literally force choke you from an entirely different planet. Now, I'm a fan of both franchises, and I'd be just as happy with either one of these powerful gifts. But at the end of the day, an avatar may rock your world or blow you away, but a Jedi is a force to be reckoned with. Greetings, denizens of YouTube. Thanks for checking in today on my latest video. Sorry it took so long to make. But as the world is in a thoroughly consistent state of chaos, I've been a little more busy than I would like to admit, which means I don't get to work on my videos as much as I probably should. And I'm going to try fixing that. I'm going to try hacking out more of these videos. I have a lot more ideas like the ones you just watched. I might even put a little bit more work into them, a little bit more detail, who knows. It just depends on how much time I end up getting. But all the same, thank you guys so much for stopping by and enjoying it again. Leave a like and a comment down below. Tell me how I'm doing, or if you have ideas or if the things I could do better, or, you know, typical YouTube things, just let me know. I love to hear you guys' opinions. And I will see you lovelies on my next grand adventure.